All right, New Mexico is desperately short on doctors. Waits for appointments can be so long, medical problems just get worse. And as floor investigator Matt Grubbs explains, a change to a medical malpractice law designed to protect patients could be having the opposite effect by driving doctors out the door.
I scheduled this one probably 8 months ago.
It's taken almost 6 months to get in to see Dr. Taylor.
Getting a doctor's appointment in New Mexico.
I mean, I have a son. When he was in 3rd grade, he was having blackouts, and it took me 9 months to get him into a neurologist.
Can sometimes feel like it takes an act of God.
You know, sometimes I feel like you have to have an in. You have to know somebody to call and say, my God, can you get me in? Let me, you know, you have to have an in.
We have too few providers, and that is a problem that has existed for several decades in the state.
Look at this state report. Green blocks are counties that have enough providers, not much green there. So when doctors speak up,
it is absolutely critical. I mean, my practice, I don't know what we'll do if we don't get a fix.
About ailments in the medical system.
Medical malpractice in New Mexico has turned into a nightmare.
Many lawmakers start to worry. 2 years ago, the legislature raised lawsuit caps in New Mexico's Medical Malpractice Act, so patients who successfully sue doctors or medical facilities can get more money. It had been years since they'd done so, and many feared patients were too vulnerable to malpractice. But within just months, some doctors couldn't find malpractice insurance. And just a year after lawmakers passed an emergency fix to help, doctors like Gabrielle Adams of Southwest Gastroenterology have the same kind of problem because the law requires insurers to treat independently owned outpatient care facilities like their hospitals.
There's no insurer in the country that will provide insurance for us or any independently owned outpatient care facilities.
Adams Endoscopy Center, which does colonoscopies and the like, is one of those facilities, explains Senator Mark Moores.
It's much cheaper to go to these outpatient facilities than it is to go for hospitals. It's better care, it's better access for New Mexicans, and yet they're being treated as hospitals, and that's just not fair. We're going to lose these clinics in New Mexico unless we fix this medical malpractice issue.
Next year, the cap for malpractice suits at similar facilities goes from about $800,000 to $5 million. New Mexico's system of private malpractice insurance, coupled with a publicly managed patient compensation fund, has worked to keep insurance costs down for years, but it's faltering. Last fall, the state's insurance superintendent said the new law has perhaps unintentionally increased the cost of participation so much that some physicians might leave. Among his list of recommended changes to the law, a permanent lower cap for independent outpatient healthcare facilities.
Healthcare providers are under a lot of pressure right now.
House Democratic Whip Rena Zapansky gets the frustration. The state is trying to make it easier for doctors, she says, by increasing Medicaid reimbursement rates and by increasing its loan repayment program to get new physicians into the state. It's also trying to boost tax credits for rural healthcare providers. But she says outpatient clinics, they're not just doctors' offices.
You know, I do think that there is a real difference, though, between a physician's office and in a healthcare facility.
She's reluctant to lower the lawsuit cap for outpatient healthcare facilities, but it's an open question as to how much doctors can take before they decide to go somewhere else.
And in my case, I'm overbooked every day for the foreseeable future.
Dr. Trent Taylor loves New Mexico.
You do feel like you're really helping people. But, you know, the barriers to doing that can be frustrating.
Doctors here make less, he says. They pay gross receipts tax and pay more for malpractice insurance than states right next door. When doctors leave, those who stay get even busier.
Because there's no gastroenterology in Gallup, Grants, limited in Farmington, none in Taos. I have multiple patients from Taos. There's no GI in Raton. I have patients in Raton. There's no GI in Silver City.
There's no end, it can seem, to an access to care problem that is headed in the wrong direction. Matt Grubbs for Investigates.
So what's next? Well, they differ on solutions, but lawmakers all know about the problem. There is a bipartisan bill in the Senate to stop the malpractice cap for those outpatient facilities from jumping up to $5 million. Now, it's yet to have its first committee hearing. The governor's office says it is essential that doctors are able to find affordable insurance.